All right, party people in the place to be, vandals, and all you weekend warriors. This is a brand new episode of Pink Spots, where it's going to be another double feature episode, so it's going to be a little long, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We are doing this show a little late because it is Sir Joseph's birthday weekend, and
Yep.
like, yeah, he was out gallivanting, going to
Yeah.
Hooters or what have you.
Yeah. Actually, we do have a Hooters. I've never been though. My cousin keeps wanting to go because he loves chicken wings and he likes the chicken wings at Hooters.
Oh, I'm sure he loves the chicken wings at Hooters.
Yeah.
That's why he
Yeah.
wants to go.
So I don't even know if it's still open. I'm assuming it's still open, but maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, yeah, he likes to go to eat the wings there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I have tomorrow off, so I'm gonna be going over to my sister's for supper, and that'll be my last birthday kind of shindig. Today's been more of a chill day, so nothing
Yeah.
really planned. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I finished reading. I think the second volume this morning
For
of
Renato?
Rumble. No,
For Rumble?
Rumble. Yeah, I read Renato earlier during the week, and then Rumble Volume 2 I finished up this morning. So yeah,
Well, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Renato Jones by Kaare Kyle Andrews. And as well, we're going to be talking about Rumble, written by John Arcudi with art by James Harren. Um,
Mhm. Stewart colored it.
Dave Stewart did the
Dave
colors.
Stewart did the colors.
And
Yeah.
Dave Stewart always does Harren's colors, right? They seem
Yeah, I believe so. I believe he's the one who did the colors on Ultra Mega. Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if he did the colors when they worked on the Hellboy stuff there, the BPRD and all that. I don't know who did the colors there, but yeah, yeah.
But yeah, before we get into those wonderful books, we're going to be doing a check-in. Like, Joe, do you got anything to shout out, brother?
Yeah, man. I finished up Mandalorian. We finished. We had one episode left of that, so we finished the third season there. What else? We caught up. Watched the last episode that aired of From. I don't know if there's one left before the season finale. What else did we watch? Started the Black Mirror. I think we watched 3 or 4 episodes of that, which is not bad. A lot of, like usual, yeah, they have quite a few good, well-known actors doing a lot of the different episodes. I think we've watched 4 episodes of that, and I actually got there. I finally, this time around, I got to reading the Click Click Boom. Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good. We've talked about this on 2 or 3 different occasions. The Doug Wagner book of. I mean, it's what? What would you say it's like?
Like I said, it kind of reminds me of Pop Scars. Like,
Pop Scars, yeah. Like a revenge tale type thing with an unknown character. You don't know who she is or where she's coming from. You just know a little bit of her past with the old man that raised her, trained her, whatever.
right.
And it's pretty so far. And she's very innocent. Like she has no real world experience, so she comes into these, which creates these fun and interesting scenarios. Like when she's experiencing a lot of stuff for the first time live, like because she's, I think, consumes stuff through media, but never experienced things in actual real time. So you get some interesting scenes in that from that. Like you see her exuberance and her like youthful, innocent energy coming through in a few of the scenes that make it pretty fun, make it a fun read.
How great was that opening scene, man? Like I was hooked right from there with the kid at the birthday with the birthday cake.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and she's like taking pictures. Like, yeah, that's the thing. She has a Polaroid and she takes pictures of stuff. So anytime she sees things that she thinks is interesting, and we like us as normal people that have been raised like quote unquote normal, like that have had birthdays and celebrated with birthday cake, where she's never really experienced that. So all these things, like she even gets what's it called? Catcalled?
yeah,
Yeah, and she takes a picture of the guy who does it. And there's a funny scene later on where she thinks this is a common occurrence, so she kind of does a similar thing to another person when she passes, kind of like not knowing the social cues of society. So there's a bunch of little quirky things in it like that make it really fun, that make it a typical Doug Wagner type of humor kind of stuff. So yeah, if you enjoy his stuff, you'll enjoy this one for sure as well. Like I really enjoyed it,
I get
and
the
it
feeling this one's going to be a little more dramatic, a little more
yeah,
emotional
yeah,
than like plastic or plush.
yeah, and it's not his usual collect. It's not Hilliard. It's Dabs. Doug Dabs does the art with colors by Matt Wilson, lettered by Ed Duckenshire. Deckenshire. Yeah, it's good. That's what is that an Image book? Yeah, that's Image. After that, I read the final issue of this one, Where Monsters Lie. Yeah, it was pretty good. I enjoyed this one. This is another horror kind of, a lot of comedy, a lot of humor in it. Kyle Starks did that one, and I think he also writes what's the other Image one he's working on? I fucking hate this place, or I really hate this place, or whatever. That's another book he's working on that I've been enjoying. I also caught up on Don't Spit in the Wind, issues 2 and 3. That's a Mad Cave book by Stefano Cardicelli with Dan Lee on colors, and I love this guy's style. His art style is fantastic. Let's see, like I just love it. I mean, Dan Lee does a great job with the colors. He doesn't overdo it. Yeah, I mean it's fun stuff. It's fun stuff. So got caught up on that, and I have one other one that I read. The first issue of Survival. I had this one for maybe a month now, and I just never got to it. And I read what was the other one that Sean Phillips did that I really liked, Above Snakes. So Sean Lewis, I mean. So I picked this up to give it a go, and the first issue wasn't bad. It's like it's a vampire story, right? And they crash. A plane with a vampire crashes into a secluded area in Alaska, and there's these military people that are having some kind of conference that they have every year. So they land there, and then he starts turning people, and it creates like this standoff between these military people and this vampire guy, and that's the first issue. That's kind of the setup. So yeah,
Cool.
So far it's not bad. It's been pretty good.
Yeah, Sean Lewis is always solid. Like I've never really disliked anything that he's written.
So that's pretty much my check-in. Yeah, that's what I got going on. Would you since last episode have you
Well, I picked up I went to the more local shop that doesn't really have too much to offer, but like I got the new Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips book, Night Fever.
Okay.
I don't even know what it's about. Like I didn't even read the blurb. I just
picked it up.
Yeah, because and plus it's named after a Bee Gees song, and that's awesome. I guess.
Is that still part of their like Reckless series? Is that tied into that, or is it a whole new story? It's a whole new story.
An original graphic novel. Okay. Yeah. What's hella funny is like the main character, and it looks like what's his name? Bryan Cranston. Like when I was like,
okay,
I was just like, oh wow, dude. Like I wonder who like they were basing this character off of. I'm totally gonna hear that dude's voice when I'm reading it. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe they pitched it out and it got optioned even before it released. So then like, oh, let's make him look like Bryan Cranston. Maybe Bryan Cranston bought up the rights for us. They're like, hey, let's draw him in. We'll already be done.
And he's pretty good at noir stuff. I mean, I don't know. Like the only thing I've ever seen that he's in that was actually a serious thing was Breaking Bad. Yeah. Usually he's a silly bastard, but or voicing bad guys in the Power Rangers. But and then this finally dropped, and I got my conclusion.
Yeah, I've seen people posting that on socials. Yeah,
and shit made me cry again. God damn it.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it to. It snuck up on me, but like this one, it wasn't. Well, there was a really sad death in the book, but like the part that got me was like the really happy part at the end. Like I don't want to spoil it, but like it was just really heartwarming, really good. Like I never know where this book's gonna go, because like I was expecting like something really tragic to happen with Squire, like holding a cop at gunpoint, like where the last issue ended, and like the way that resolved, and I really like how Brian K. Vaughan keeps me on my toes. Like I can never predict where like this book's going, and I love that about it. And as pissed as I was for them taking such a long break, like I might not be so mad anymore just for how damn good this is
The
being.
quality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it really took them 3 years to like get a story as storylines as good as these ones thought out, then you know what I mean. That's all good because like I think that this book's the best that it's ever been, maybe better. So you know what I mean. And like you can't say that for a lot of books that like come back from a long break. Most of the time they
So
fall
now it's
off.
up to issue what now?
It is 65.
Okay, so like 65 issues in, and they're still banging out like quality story and everything. So that's impressive.
Yeah, man. Same creative team the whole time too.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah, and I think that helps with the quality of the story and everything too. You know, it's consistent. People get the same tone is delivered consistently, and yeah.
And that's about it for me, man. Like,
Cool. That's cool. All
so
right, so
you want to get
let's
to the books?
let's get into it. Which one you want to do first?
Oh, I got this one queued up for
Renato. Okay,
yeah,
Renato Jones, Volume 1.
the 1% by
Yeah, the
Kaare Kyle
1%.
Andrews.
Yeah.
And
And the title of this is funny because I read the back matter, and he wasn't sure what to call it. I can't remember what he was going to call it at first. And then, like last episode, we're talking about Troy Nixie, and he was chatting with Troy because Carrie and him are buddies, and he's the one who suggested he call it the 1%, the first book. So that's what he went with. So he helped him out with the title, fleshing out the title and stuff. So yeah. I can't remember. I'd have to open it up again and see what he was originally going to call it. But yeah, he didn't like the title he came up with, so he ran it through a few friends, and Troy's the one who told him, "Yeah, just call it 1%, man." That's what he ran with.
and it's very fitting because like the basic breakdown of this book is it's about a Punisher slash Batman type vigilante dude who
Mm-hmm.
only takes out the very wealthy, the 1%ers of the world. And this book does a really fun job of spoofing some of the famous tech billionaires and stuff around the world. I
Mm-hmm.
really liked the Steve Jobs issue. I thought that was great. No, people don't usually call him out, and I kind of like that this book did. So
That's one.
everybody loves their iPhones, but they don't like to address how they're made. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's the issue with the fan bots.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's a few funny panels in there.
And I know you liked this one.
Yeah. The next scene coming up is a lot more graphic if you open it up and yeah. That one was good. Then you have like the Trump-looking dude there where he kicks the guy in the face. Yeah. He makes fun of all of those guys, like the billionaires. Basically, is he takes a lot of shots at billionaires and how they use their money to influence and counter laws and like basically they feel like they're untouchable, and this is where the character Renato Jones comes in to enforce the law for everyone. Even the ultra rich need to be held accountable, and this is basically what the story is. That's what Renato Jones is. He's one of them, and he's there in secret with his secret identity and everything, and he makes sure all these rich people are held accountable for egregious actions, like you said, like the Steve Jobs one, where he uses almost slavery, basically, right? Like
Yeah,
overworked employees can't go home and everything, to the point where they're committing suicide because they're overworked and burnt out, and they'd rather kill themselves than continue living in the way they're living, right? So yeah, so that's one example. And the first one, I think that's from the shot you showed. I think that's from the first issue, the first story that kind of sets the tone.
this one, no, this is from the actually my favorite action scene, the second issue where he's taking out all the pedos at the.
Oh, okay, yeah, the party, the super party. Yeah. Well, it's because basically he takes on the identity of the first guy he takes out in the first issue. and that's how he gets into this party, because he takes his gold platinum card, a VIP pass or something, and that's how he gets in. And the first one he set up, he's a like, is it a snuff film guy kind of?
Uh,
Is that
he
it? They
he
don't really show, but
I don't. Yeah, he makes his own movies for his own entertainment, though. So I don't know, like, if you can consider that, because, like, from what I understand, snuff films is like a murder on film that's made to show people
to
for profit.
sell. Okay, okay. So anyway, he films for it and he rewatches it for his own pleasure, and that's kind of sets up the tone for the series on the type of people he's going after, the rich people. How, and that first guy, like, he hires uh, undocumented people because it's easier, because you can kill them off, and because they're undocumented, there's, it's like they don't exist, so it's easier to get away with it, right? And so he finds a guy, and the way the guy talks to is so goddamn annoying. You're so happy when he kind of takes him out, because he's like, dude, bro, dude, all the time, and it's like, oh my god, just shoot him already. It's
It's funny
horrible.
that this book was written like long before the Paul brothers, but like I kind of fucking really felt like he was making fun of Logan Paul in this book, but like there's no way he could have unless he could tell the future. But
Yeah, but he touches on that for volume 2, and there's a bit of a shift in tone a little bit from the first volume to the second, because a lot of shit happened when he started the series. Like, he started the series, Trump hadn't been elected yet, I don't think, right?
he was just announcing that he was going to
He's
run,
running.
and
Yeah,
everybody was taking
exactly.
it as a joke.
And this is the first volume was inspired by that, kind of like how the ultra rich and all this celebrity as well kind of running for president, and that inspired a lot of like the satire. Like he said, it started as a satire book in his back matter. He was like, it started as satire, but then, like, after he finished the first arc, Trump actually got elected. So he's like, fuck, this isn't really satire anymore, because what I was doing came true. So then for the volume 2, he had to change up the. He said he changed up his approach in the story a little bit, because it wasn't working as well as satire anymore, because Trump actually got elected, and social media went bonkers, and anyway, so he switched it up a little bit for volume 2. Yeah.
So the breakdown of our character, which I really like, is Renato Jones. He's actually not he is a billionaire, but like he's not who he really is. Like our main character isn't really Renato Jones. He's actually, like, you don't know his name. He's just an orphan from Jakarta, Indonesia, and
Mm-hmm.
these cops basically sell him to this rich family that are missing a kid so they can have a payday, and like he basically gets sent back to this family that needed a boy to claim to be Renato Jones so they could kill him off to get his inheritance. And he
Mm-hmm.
is unwittingly saves himself, but with the help of the butler, Mr. Church, who then
Sure.
raises
Yeah.
him for this noble goal, this crusade of Mr. Church's, basically, that he's been planning for.
Yeah, he grooms him. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really like the kind of friendship, or I don't know if you could call it friendship, but like the relationship and the hatred that they have for each other between Mr. Church and Renato, because it's very palpable, but like it makes Renato a very likable, very understandable character, because like he's one of the few superheroes that I've read that like walks around all tortured all the time, but like understand where he's coming from,
Mm-hmm.
especially because he has to live this lie, because like he hangs out with these two like Chad bros that are like
Yeah.
be his best friends, and like he doesn't hate them though. Like
Yeah. Like
he
he's like he there. Yeah, there's a scene, like you said. He says, "Not all rich people are bad people. Some of these people are just as lost as the rest of us." Right? Like, he makes a distinction at one point where it's like he doesn't hate all wealthy people. He's just out to get the wealthy people that are taking advantage of their wealth, taking out advantage of the less fortunate. So he makes a distinction. I think that's in what, issue 3 maybe, that he drops it, and I think that adds a good tone where it's not like he's not too jaded where he hates like everyone, where he's like, yeah, there's some good people amongst all these people. They're not all bad, right? So I think that's a good point. That and oh yeah, now that you put this up, I like the, because he has like kind of 3 different styles in the book, right? he has like his Frank Miller style, where a lot of the scenes where he's assassinating or telling stories, he goes with that black and white, kind of channels his Frank Miller a little bit. Then when he tells like his past, like the backstory of him, he uses it like you said on those pages, and you see the like the old paper, like it's like worn out and stuff,
It looks like
and
it's
that's
folded.
yeah, like it's bolded or like something old with creases in it and like
Patina.
imperfections. Yeah, it
Patina.
makes it look old. Yeah, yeah, exactly, like a patina. Yeah, and it makes it look old. So it's kind of like talking about the past. And then you have the present, which is more like just a straightforward, kind of normal comic colored. So
Well,
it's interesting how he breaks the three sections of the book into it, which is really cool.
that and he'll go into hyper like almost anime like 90s comic
Yeah,
over the
with
top
the
too,
with the fonts and everything. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's cool. This book has a lot of style. Like, I mean,
And
10 on 10 for style points, man.
then he has the funny fake advertisements in it like the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or the douche and all this stuff. Yeah, like he's
The perfumes and yeah, I think every issue has a spoof ad like that. Yeah, so
at
you
least
get like
yeah.
5 per trade. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it kind of made me feel like it was akin to RoboCop, like that Paul Verhoeven break
Yeah,
the fourth wall with the advertisements. I always
yeah,
love when they do that, and I think he pulled it off really well with like and yeah, he got some really good models to be up in them too.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah. So,
he took it seriously, you know what I mean? And
for
uh
sure.
and like how rad is Renato's weapon, man? Like I
Yeah,
love handguns with bayonets for some reason. Like I
knives.
a great
Yeah,
look.
and it's cool because they show how he when he's getting groomed by church, right? He's like, you have to pick a weapon. You could go with the gun, and he explains, it's uh, however like kind of more extravagant and showy, or you could go with a knife that's quiet and personal, right? So he's like, well, why can't I choose both? And the kid takes it and tapes it to his handgun, right? And that's how he then as because he's rich, he has one custom made that's like all built into one. But you see it as a kid, the way they explain it, how he comes about with like that gun is pretty cool, pretty damn cool. Mm, really cool. Mm. Saying hey to Spanky, to Matt in the chat, popped in.
No,
How's
way
it
cool
going?
WandaVision ads, man. Like RoboCop ads. Like we don't talk
Yeah,
about WandaVision in any kind of positive way here, man. Again, for
yeah,
sure, knives for pro. Good old Guy Ritchie quote right there, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, fuck off, skin and alligator type knives. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
I know you're not a fan of trade paperbacks, Joe, but I think you would like this one. Like the way that it's presented, because you don't really see it in the digital versions, but like this has that spot gloss lettering when you hold it
Okay.
light, and like on the front it says the super rich or super fucked, and on the back it says let them come for me, let them eat me, and let them choke.
Choke. Yeah, that's his catch. He has a catchphrase. Choke on this. That's his catchphrase. Every time he goes to kill someone, that's what he tells them before he kills them. Like, choke on this. So every assassination, that's his little catchphrase. He uses. It's pretty cool. What's the one where is it when he's a kid? When the ant isn't there one where they kind of fall? They get shot and then they slip through the gun.
Oh yeah, that's when he killed the grandma, the one that was
The
trying
grandma.
to
Okay.
get inheritance money. Yeah, he punches
Yeah.
her right in the cooch, and yeah, she falls on her shotgun and shoots.
Gun and blows the hole through her head, and she slides down the shotgun. Yeah, that was oof. Quite the scene. Quite the scene. Yeah.
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 I mean, and this comic starts off pretty gangster, like right off the bat. I mean, like there is a lot of like emotional stuff in it too, like with the character Cameron, who like you meet her right away. She's a very our sympathetic character. We kind of see this world through, and she's basically like this down on her luck lady, a single mom who like got a job working for DB, the first guy that we see Renato take out, and basically like Renato shows up at the yacht and like he sees her and he thinks that she might be DB's next victim. So like he acts like a total prick, but he gets her fired.
Gets her fired, yeah, to get her off the ship so she doesn't become a victim. Exactly. And he does this like he plays the role, right, of being this ultra prick where he's like, oh, how can you hire these people? And he always finds ways to save the innocent people while being a dick about it, kind of. So yeah, and that's like the first example right in the first issue. And at first you're like, oh, he's a fucking asshole, but then you realize what he's doing, and it all makes sense after you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, once you get to the part where like he's putting in the videotapes and like he's explaining how DB gets down, and you're like, oh, okay, like okay, then he's pretty cool then, you know what I mean? He could have did it nicer, but if he did it nicer, DB would have caught on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it'd be suspicious. Yeah, exactly. So he definitely plays the role, and he fully commits. Yeah. Yeah. And then he has a love interest, right? Which is called she's called Bliss.
Actually, like he's head over heels for her, but it's weird because they're almost siblings in a way too. Like the way it's presented, but like basically, yeah, she is the girl next door, and she is an orphan as well, but she was adopted by like this guy to be a tax shelter.
And I love the storyline, their storyline. He did it well because you don't know which way it's gonna go, right? You're always left guessing, like I wasn't sure, like, because as you go, you have these suspicions of where this storyline between the two of them might go, and I think Kaare does a fantastic job with that storyline.
I mean, he played it well, but like you always knew that she was gonna be bad. You know what I mean? Like,
but is she really that bad? I mean,
not really. I mean, like when you get to like, I didn't see like how she was going to be bad coming, but like I thought that like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I think he played it well, like you said, but like,
yeah, played it well. Kept you guessing all the time, because at one point you think, oh man, he's gonna have to do this, or there's gonna be consequence to that, and it never really comes. And then at one point you think it, oh, then it's kind of like a redemption. Okay, I thought it was going there and it didn't. So he played those that storyline's pretty good all the way through, right to the end. So
how did you like Mr. Wicked Awesome?
Oh, yeah. Do you have that one with the chainsaw?
No.
Did you read that one? Yeah, man. It's so over the top, and I think that's another character in the background. I can't remember what he wrote he was going to call it. He had a name, and he was like, eh. And I guess his brother's like, oh, Wicked Awesome. You should just call it. And he was like, it's too perfect because he's such a dopey character, right? Yeah. And he's so proud of being everyone loves Dick.
I'm a dick, and everybody loves Dick.
Everyone loves Dick. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he was like one of those characters that's way over the top, stupid, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like, yeah, like you said, like I think that at the beginning he wanted to play this a lot more Frank Miller style, and like it was kind of like his leader of the mutants type character from Dark Knight Returns, but like I like the story arc between the two, like the the middle issues, like with the big cliffhanger of the first book.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know, like I said, because the way he approached it, you're like, maybe he'll have the balls to do this. We're on the cliffhanger because you don't know. You just know that there's an explosion and you don't know the consequences of it, right? So you're left with like a thought that maybe if he might actually do this, and it might be the catalyst for the whole second arc, right? So yeah.
Well, plus he'd love to keep you on your toes, because before you knew that it was going to be a continuation thing, like because it was originally just listed as like a run, you know what I mean? So like the 5th issue, you got the cover is Bliss holding Renato's shot up body, and she's like, yeah, he fucking dies on the cover.
Yeah, spoilers or something, he dies.
So like he'd like to keep you on your toes the whole run anyways. Like he threw it like in little fakies the whole time, little red herrings, which I thought was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, like this book, like the first arc is a lot of fun because like it's a lot more like standalone, like little stories, like the one where he like goes and meets like the praying mantis woman, and and I kind of liked the villain of the week style of the first arc a little better than, but like I like that he made the second arc like more story focused, and because like I think he planned on making it a little longer, but like I think he got just defeated by the political landscape, and he didn't want to fight against it anymore. Because I remember when he announced that like it was just going to be this last arc and it was over, he's like, the experiment's officially over and it was a failure, I think is what he said. And I'm like, don't be like that, man. The book was really good. Like, you can't expect to change shit by yourself with a comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I think he really took it personally when what happened.
Because I think the final issue released sometime in 2018, the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, something like that.
That sounds
I
about
think the
right.
final issue released just before, maybe a year before the pandemic hit, and that's when Trump was in the middle of his tenure as president, right? And just like the constant lies and just it was all that bullshit, and then like social media just eating itself alive. I mean, yeah, it was pretty volatile time, and it still is a little bit. I mean, I think things have kind of leveled out a bit, but yeah, I could see.
No, dude. Like, maybe in Canada it's leveled out, but not down here. It's
No,
probably worse than it was then, man.
oh yeah.
It's
Hmm.
it's definitely worse than it was then.
Well, since the whole pandemic thing's done, you, it hasn't been as bad here. Like, you don't have the trucker convoys and people at each other's throat over vaccines and shit like that. Now it's kind of mellowed out. Mm.
That would be nice.
Yeah. People don't talk about it anymore. It's in the past. We've moved on. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think that this book broaches its subject matter respectfully while keeping it fun. Like,
Hmm.
like going back to the Steve Jobs issue, like they had a scene where like all the workers kept falling off the roof, and like it
Hmm.
is tragic, but like it was kind of funny at the same time in a really darkly humor way, because the way
Hmm.
that like they were portraying it with the cleanup crews and everything,
Yeah.
I think that he has a sly wit about him that is that keeps the book really fun, even though he's talking about stuff that's usually infuriating or terrifying.
Mhm. Well, I think he has. You saw he had fun in the way he approached the book, like the different styles for like he really got to flex his creative juices, his creative muscles, right? With the just the black and white, that must have been fun just to change it up, like from issue to issue. He got to change up his style a little bit for different scenes, and I could see how that would keep you motivated, like instead of it becoming like routine and monotonous. So, mm, like, I loved it. It was great. It's a usually I don't know. I didn't see anything about the mask. How he came up with the design for the mask.
Yeah. um
Mm. He mentioned something briefly. He wanted to keep it realistic while still having it be fun and stuff. Like, he didn't want it to be too out there. So I don't know. He didn't really say like
well,
why the two eyes and yeah.
Well, because the whole look is kind of just really fundamental utilitarian, almost James Bondish. He's just like
Yeah,
wears a tux with like, yeah, the half mask, and that's kind
yeah.
of like the whole thing.
It definitely has a bit of a James Bond vibe to it too, a bit the whole book. Mm. Yeah, like you said, a little bit of Batman, a little bit of Punisher, a little bit of James Bond, a little mix of everything. Mm.
A
Yeah.
lot of gore, a lot of really dark humor, which
Mhm.
was kind of new to this book because I don't know, there was a little bit of it in Iron Fist, which like this book kind of reminds me a little bit of his run of Iron Fist mixed with the Black Sinister, but like I really like his dark humor. Like, I kind of wish that he'd do a little more adult books. I mean, I love Erratic. It's probably one of my favorite AWA books, but I would like to see him kind of dip his toes back into like adult superheroes again, because like
Mhm.
I think he's really good at it. I think like he could, if he caught on in the right eyes, he could like definitely like have that Garth Ennis crowd like loving his work. He's got that same type of wit about him. Not
Yeah.
quite as crass, not quite as he doesn't go quite as disturbing, but he doesn't stay too far away from it either. Like I said,
Mm.
like the second issue, like they heavily imply some really terrible things in it because it's basically about Epstein. And the funny thing is the issue came out before like they arrested him and he died and everything. So
Yeah, but that's kind of a point he made. Like his first arc, all this shit happened. Like Trump was elected, the Me Too movements, and all these things kind of fucking happened before he started the second arc, right? So then he's like, man, I got to change it up a bit because these were all things that he was hinting at and all came to be. So it was like, holy shit. Yeah. So it kind of threw him for a loop a little bit when he. So I think, if I remember correctly, in the background, he said he had to change up the story a little bit for the second arc and stuff, and he said he had to go even more extreme and out there with the story for the second arc because all this crazy shit that he was just like kind of hinting at like could be possible came true. So he's like, holy moly, I gotta even go even further, even more extreme with the story for the second arc. And yeah, he went pretty extreme for some of the stuff in the second arc.
yeah, definitely like the whole final act. You know what I mean? That was pretty. Yeah, that definitely like threw me for a loop. It was like on the same kind of insane level as kind of when Nuke shows up in Daredevil. What's it called? Born Again, like
Okay.
which is probably one of his favorite books because, like I said, his Iron Fist was very heavily like
Influenced by that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, man, Renato Jones. It was definitely a fun read. Beautiful book. Yeah, his art is fantastic. It's if anything, just to flip through it, just to look at his art is worth it alone. The price alone. So
yeah.
All right. So our second book of the afternoon is Rumble.
And like this one is just a blast, man. Like I have just such a good time with this book because um, it's really fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Like John Arcudi, like he started this basically right after finishing up his run on BPRD, which was phenomenal. I loved it as much as I loved the way Mike Mignola writes those characters. Like I think John Arcudi, like non Hellboy BPRD stories, is probably like the best that's ever told them. Like, but well, because he wrote like almost all of it though, to tell you the truth, except for the spin-offs.
So he pretty much was the catalyst for that the spin-off series for Hellboy then.
Well, no, like Mike Mignola kind of helped co-write it at the beginning, but like John
Okay.
Arcudi kind of like him and Guy Davis just like did the hell out of that book. I'm not even sure how many issues it ran because they put it out in like little 6-issue.
Story arcs, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how many issues, but like yeah, like they did for years. They were putting those out, and like it was really cool to see this come out because it's very similar, but it's its own thing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different. Like because this one leans kind of more on like maybe Conan the Barbarian type storytelling than kind of pulp monster. There is a lot of pulp monster stuff too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But not as much magic in it, I find.
Yeah, no, like there is a touch.
There is a touch, yeah, but they don't lean as heavily into it. Like there are these creatures, but they're very grounded. Like they don't seem to be as fantastical as like there's a few here and there that come up, and you're like, oh shit. But like you said, it's very Conan. Like the fights are very bloody, very very personal, very like hand to hand ish. Like it gets there's a lot of bloody scenes in it, and the fight battles and stuff like that. Which makes it believable that you have humans involved with the story, like normal people coming in, and like how could they have a chance against like these mythological demons and beasts or creatures, and then it's like it's very grounded in that aspect. Like,
and yeah, this story is about is it Bobby? Yeah, and
Bobby and his friend Dell,
and basically they meet this like living scarecrow, and he literally is a scarecrow that is vowed to get his body back and have his vengeance against these other creatures that predate human history. Like they go back. It's almost kind of like how J.R.R. Tolkien set up his world, like how it kind of took place before our time, our realm began. Like
Hmm.
there was, and like these are just kind of layover creatures from that time period, and but like his name is Rathrak, and
Rathrak. Yeah. He was like the ultimate soldier warrior of that time,
yeah,
right?
like he vindicated stuff. Like he was the righteous one. Like if both sides were bad, he'd fuck them all up. And
Yeah.
but basically that was his undoing because this one side they decided that like he was favoring the this one people's too much, so they snatched his soul out of his body, and like they kept him as a prisoner of war, and they actually overkept him on supposedly on accident.
Yeah, there was a not a typo, but a misfiling of the paperwork or some shit like that. So they kept his soul from way past, because when the war was done, his soul's supposed to be released once the war is over, and the war had been over for what, thousands of years
Yeah,
or centuries, and his soul was still captured. So when they released his soul, uh, his body, he uh, one of the held his body, uh, right? So his soul inhabits this scarecrow, and that's why he's inhabiting the scarecrow, which is very cool design. Like running around, he's got the like this kind of cape with a big ass fur collar. Really cool design. Like, yeah. And this is the first time I think I've read anything that James Harren had drawn. Hey El, how's it going? Elle's birthday's coming up next week.
oh, happy
Yeah,
birthday.
yeah, she's coming up next week. And like, and I loved Ultra Mega, right? And I didn't make the connection at first because I'd read this a while, maybe what, almost 2 years before Ultra Mega came out, and I didn't make the connection at first because I didn't remember. It'd been a while. I was like, James Harren, I mean, sounds familiar. Then I went back and I was like, oh yeah, he drew Rumble, and I'd already read the first volume and I never continued, even though I liked it. I just, reading other stuff, and that's why you're like, oh, let's do like you're like Rumble, and then we're trying to pick other books and stuff. I was like, yeah, Rumble, I have them all. I got the whole run through a Humble Bundle deal through Image, and that's why I have the whole series. So yeah, I was like, all right, it gives me an excuse to get back to it. So we read volume 1 and 2 for this show, and man, his I love his style. He's great. You see it in this series, like the fun he has at just designing these different creatures and monsters, and like you see it translated to his book Ultra Mega as well. Like you could see it in this book, like just how he has fun just designing these creatures. And yeah,
Uh,
like the cat, that's
Looks like my cat Mibu, man. I swear.
yeah, that becomes one of my favorite characters, Nusku.
Yeah,
Nusku, the fire demon. I guess you are the fire creature. Yeah, exactly. And he's at times the most heinous character, and at times the most adorable character as well. Like, he's a character you love to hate, and he's a character after, like, when he gets it's such a great part in the book where you see what he really is when he isn't on fire, and he's so vulnerable and adorable. It's just, I love that character. It's, I don't know how they came up with it, but it's fantastic. I love it. And it leads to like a very crucial scene for Bobby at one point too, where it really shows you his conflict with the situation and having to deal with these monsters and stuff. Like where, what's the main character's name again?
Rathrak.
Rathrak. Like he just kills these guys without a second thought, whereas Bobby has this empathy for them. Like, they're monsters, but there's another side to them too. If you would like maybe stop swinging the sword and try to come to some kind of resolution with them, maybe that's a possibility, right? So then you have this inner conflict, and it's great. Like, and Dell,
Yeah,
he's like Mr. Machismo, right? He just like, oh, let's go kill all these fucking things. It's so cool, right? So you have all these characters and all these different dynamics, and I think that's what makes the story so much fun. Then he has, what's his warrior dog called?
I forget what the dog was called.
Longjaw, or something. Anyway, but he has a dog back in his former life that's a giant Rottweiler looking type dog. Like that's the size of a bear that he does battle with, and that's super cool. and then he kind of adopts this three-legged dog in the main story, which is it's fun. It leads pretty much his only friend, right? He always has conversations with him when he's often alone when Bobby and Dell are kind of hanging out, and well, Rothgar hangs out with this three-legged dog and stuff. That it's really fun too. That part of the story is really fun. Like you said, it's got a lot of heart. Like this story has a lot of heart. The characters are sympathetic. You like you love them. Even the bad guys in this, you don't really necessarily hate, right? There's no despisable characters in this almost, except for one that might be a little more playing the fence on both sides. Kogan.
Yeah, Kogan.
You don't know where he's coming from. He's like a sneaky little snake, right? He's kind of playing both sides, just like kind of what do you call it? Like a Loki type character, just mischievous, right? He just likes chaos, and so he likes seeing the two sides at each other's throats and stuff. And he kind of secretly is playing both sides, and yeah, he's a fun character too. The main villain is what is she? She's a what do they refer to her as? The queen of the underworld or something like that. Anyway, Zotlaha is her name, and a great design. Like James Harren, just fantastic creature designs in this. Yeah, that's her right there. That's where she's like holds up his body and be like, "You better watch it." Yeah.
One thing I really love about this book is the way the story is told, because like we kind of told like the narrative of the book, but you kind of learn it slowly, because like it really just starts right off with the action. You got Bobby like working tending bar, and like
Yeah.
Coogan goes outside to smoke a cigarette, and like next thing you know is Rathrock is out there with him and cuts his arm off, and then like it just goes from there, and like you slowly learn the story. But like you got Bobby who takes Rothrock's sword after the interaction with Coogan, and like he goes to Dell's house to try to get a ride to you know take
To
the sword.
figure out, yeah,
And
like he doesn't know what's going on, and he's like going to his best friend to try to, like, yeah, I got this thing. I don't know, like, yeah.
and then he gets
Yeah, on the
attacked by
phone.
these two creatures, and then Rothrock comes and saves him, and then that's how Bobby kind of gets roped into being like Rothrock's best friend, kind of like the dude that he depends on, because like he doesn't know anybody else, and like he sees kind of a strength in Bobby, because like when the creatures were attacking him, he did try to fight even though he didn't know how,
Yeah.
and almost got himself killed. So like, and that's the type of thing that Rothrock kind of sees as inspirational, and kind of sees as like people that he wants to surround himself with. Well, meanwhile, Bobby just is kind of like, man, I would just want to get my girlfriend back. Is kind of a mopey dude, but like a really kind of likable, cool hero too. Especially when you meet the female interest of the book, Nima.
Tima.
Yeah.
Tima. Yeah. She's cool.
Yeah,
she works as an intern at the hospital. She's a social worker or something like that. Anyway, yeah.
But she also majored in reading dead languages, so that's how.
Yeah.
That's how she gets roped into it, because she knows Phoenician, and somehow Dell was able to tell that like the language that the monsters were writing was ancient Phoenician. So like they go to her to get help, and I really like the character, and I really like the kind of three-way dynamic between her, Dell, and Bobby, I think.
Yeah. There's definitely that triangle, right? They set up like a little mini triangle, like Dell thinks he's like anytime Bobby brings it up, he's like, "What are you doing talking to her?" Like, kind of like I saw her first type attitude and deal. Yeah. So Bobby always has to downplay it. And so I don't know. I haven't. You've read the whole series, I'm assuming.
Oh no, I think I've read up to book 4. Like,
book 4. Okay.
I need to actually finish it, but like, yeah.
So you see, there might be future conflict there between Bobby and Dell.
They're
setting it up. They're setting it up. Yeah, they're setting it up. Then there's the cute Halloween issue, which is really fun, where he's trying to find the parents to these two trick or treaters. That's a fun one. Man, this whole book is a blast. Like it's really fun. All the characters are good. Even the bad characters in it are sympathetic. Like those two demons, they just wanted the sword. Like when they go, and one demon's like, "Yeah, come on, we didn't come here to hurt him. We just want the sword, like. And then what's his name shows up and kind of like, all right, we got to start. Now we got to play rough, right? So I mean, the most heartless character in this whole fucking book is your main protagonist is Rothrak, right?
Right.
And like that's where Bobby's. I think where Bobby tries to make him open up his mind a little bit, right? Because he's got one way of thinking and it's kill all these monsters. And Bobby's trying to change his mind, kind of like where you have the half breeds, right? And that's where you kind of first start seeing Rothrak kind of turning a corner on that aspect of it.
Yeah, because he doesn't really understand that the world has changed. These monsters have changed. Like they've like lived through another age of different types of people, and they live in the shadows now. They're not trying to rule the world anymore.
No.
They've learned like accept that they're not top.
And they even have a council where they meet up every month, and they're like, it was peaceful till he came back, right? We were living great lives till he showed up, like peaceful lives. Now he's back stirring up the pot again, like killing people and. Yeah. And that's another one. I love that Larna character, the 5-headed creature.
Oh, yeah.
Larna. Anyway, I love that creature. It's awesome. I like when I first saw it, and then like you get to that scene, I'm like, oh, I was so heartbroken. At first, I was like, oh, damn it, Yeah, such a great like I love books with creatures like as not quite pets but as companions, and this book just nails it. Like all these kind of creatures have companionships with these other people, or anyway, and they really play off that a lot in this book. A lot of like companionship type storylines and threads, and yeah.
And just people trying to fit in too, you know what I mean? As well. Some of the monsters are just trying to be people now,
Yeah, just live their lives in peace, right? Not disturbing anyone. You don't disturb me, I won't disturb you. Just we'll let each other live our own lives as long as we're not hurting anyone else, and that's it, And
well, because that's the thing too, because like they do possess human bodies, but they're dead human bodies, and then they can mold them and reshape them to look like how they want them to. So
like the cat. For example, yeah.
So it's not like they are hurting anybody, even when they kind of possess a person.
And the twist at the end of the second volume. Woo! Now I have to read the third one now to see where that goes.
And that's another great thing about this book is it has a nice, good run to it. It's
50 issues, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50 issues. It ran for a while, and I never heard anyone talk about it. So I'm surprised, like 50 issues and never, like I found out about it. I was on some comic site and they like reviews, and it kept getting good reviews all the time. And I think they must have been near in the end, because I think it was they were in the 40s, and I was talking about how good it was. And every month I'd go back and it'd be getting great reviews all the time. And then I'd go on social media and nobody's talking about this book. And I was like, what? And I picked up the first volume to read it because I like it kept getting a lot of like critical praise. And I was like, man, the art is fantastic. The story is fun. Why aren't more people like on board? Why aren't more people talking about this book? And I don't know. I couldn't understand it. So
I'm the same way. Like I was reading the hell out of it, and I never really heard anybody else talking about it. But like, I'm pretty sure like it had to be pretty popular because, like you said, it ran 50 issues. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It must be like, what do they call a sleeper hit? You know what I mean? But
yeah, like not one of those big like where.
But image books kind of do that often. There's another one that I really like called Sex by Joe Casey, which is kind of like a superhero deconstruction. We should probably cover that one day on one of our Not Safe for Work episodes. It's a really, really good book. But like it ran for had like 6 or 7 trade paperbacks, and like I never heard anybody talk about it.
Yeah, see, like Sunstone's another one that runs, like you say, for a long time. But I do see people talk about it every once in a while. It pops up on social media. Whereas Rumble, I haven't, not a sniff of it anywhere. That's why I was like, I was stunned, completely stunned.
But it's definitely, in my opinion, a must read, especially like I'm not even gonna recommend it for fantasy people. Like if you just kind of like action horror, I think that it's a perfect, good fun read for you because it does dip its toes into fantasy and stuff, but it's kind of more tinged towards being set in modern time, so it kind of
Mm-hmm.
gives it more of a horror angle, in my opinion, than being kind of fantasy. But not like scary horror, more like just because it's monsters and like there's
Mm-hmm.
gore to it. Then
Yeah, like kind of like Hellboy horror, like
yeah,
fantasy horror.
exactly.
Yeah, but more rooted in like the now, like yeah. So like I mean, anyone who picked up Ultra Mega and loved Ultra Mega and are like, when is the fucking next? When is this gonna continue? Because who knows when if we'll even get another Ultra Mega story like the follow up. Like this is definitely go pick this up. This will scratch that itch because there's so many parallels to Ultra Mega, like the monsters, this and that. And James Harren's art in this is fantastic. So you'll get a lot of that brutalness, like from Ultra Mega. There's a lot of that, like in
It
the fight
doesn't
scenes.
it doesn't get as savage as Ultra Mega.
Not as savage, but a lot. Some of the fight scenes in it can get pretty savage, But it's not all out like brutal like Ultra Mega. But it'll definitely scratch that itch if you're like being impatient. If you're impatient and you need something that'll scratch that a similar itch to Ultra Mega, then like you could see where this a lot of influences from this story carried over to Ultra Mega. Like I could see a lot of parallels. Like I said, just the monster designs and everything. It's really cool, and yeah, yeah, and just the type of world it's set in kind of makes me think a little bit of Ultra Mega as well. Maybe not as cosmic because Ultra Mega's got a much more cosmic appeal to it, like world, but definitely,
Yeah, they swapped out fantasy for cosmic, and
yeah.
like basically like just think about it like that. But I mean,
Yeah,
it's just a blast though. It's a good time on paper, in my opinion. Like it never gets too anything. You know what I mean? It's got a great balance of just being fun the whole time you're reading
yeah,
it.
like super entertaining comic. Like fun. It's has its serious moments, but it never to the point of losing that feel good, heartfelt part of it. Where yeah, it like you said, perfect balance,
Well,
perfect balance.
plus like one of the most serious kind of like in my opinion, in the first arc, like when Bobby is having the argument with the angel and the devil on his shoulder, like they go to such a silly place with it, but it's kind of really a serious scene because he is
Mm-hmm.
deciding whether he is going to like take this insanity to the next level or just try to hit on this girl that like he's finally kind of having a chance with for the first time.
And she's the one who reveals the whole thing to him because right, she can read that language, and he finds the note in his pocket, and she's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, he owes me more money, right?" The joke, and then it's like, "No, this one doesn't say like an IOU, right?" So then he's like, "Oh shit!" That's when like pop pop. What do I do? I've got a choice. I've got a dilemma. Yeah,
Yeah, I kind of like that like they took such a silly trope, but they did it in like a really kind of mature, fun way.
yeah,
Kind of
and like just like a perfect that sets the tone perfectly. I think for this book is that first scene where he's knocking on the door at Dell's place. And you see him passed out on the couch, and it's like a full splash page of him passed out, so you can see his tattoo, and the tattoo is like, "Does this tattoo make me look tough?" That's what his tattoo says, right? So that kind of sets the whole, the tone of this book. How seriously does it take itself? So yeah, it's really fun. Like, I've always been meaning to get back to it because I love that first volume, and I finished reading that second volume this morning, and man, awesome! Like great stuff. I love it.
yeah, like this came out of just like a really fun time at Image, man. Like I remember like getting this Nail Biter and Postal, and
Mm,
just, like having a good time reading like just like this really gory, just fun shit. You know what I mean? Coming out
yeah,
at the time.
yeah, yeah. Definitely highly recommend this one. Renato Jones as well. So that's pretty much done. So that's a contained story. So if you pick up Renato Jones Volume 1 and 2, you get the whole story. And like we said, this one, Rumble ran for about 50 issues. So you have, what, about 10 trades roughly to read?
I think it's
So,
8. Yeah.
8, yeah. I don't know why it never got the hardcover treatment, like a collected edition, like the prestige stuff, like they do there, the library editions or the oversized editions. Because if it came out in that, I would definitely pick those up. Like, and I only pick those up for the books I like, and I've read the first 2 volumes and loved them. So if I saw them come out with kind of like what they did with Deadly Class, I'd pick up all the volumes of that if they did it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's our double feature for Pink Spots of Renato Jones. Book 1 was called 1%. Book 2 was called Freelancer. So if you're looking for that's the title of the 2 books. And we did Rumble Volume 1 and 2. That's pretty much what we covered. We didn't go any further than that. Anything that we made reference to, and I think those you can pick up pretty easily in trade format anywhere.
Yeah, I
Comic
still see
shop,
them in shops all
Amazon.
the time.
Yeah. I think it's very easy to find. You won't have a hard time finding it. Renato Jones, I have no clue if those ones
Um,
are easy to find or not, but I know you can get them digitally, which isn't a problem if you read digitally. So, yeah. So, what do you think, Johnny? What any last comments before we?
Yeah,
we
you
let
can
the
still
people...
get the Renato Jones trades for $9.99. So
there you go. That's a steal.
yeah, I hate to say it, but like neither of these books like got super popular. So like it pays off in a good way. That way you can still go and get them for pretty cheap, and like they're just diamonds in the rough, in my opinion. And yeah,
you could, and if you want, you could probably even find the floppies, right? Because they're fairly recent books, so you could
could
probably find the
get,
floppies in bins and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, you're probably looking at maybe $1 an issue or something for them. More than likely, I would say. Like, I don't see you paying cover price for the floppies for these.
Yeah, so get out there, go hunt for this shit, man. It's good stuff. It's worth your time, worth the read.
Hell yeah. And we will be back on Tuesday doing what? I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll come up with something fun. We always do. And until next time, stay classy, San Diego.